Hello and welcome to Keeping Up with the Kerslake, episode 4. I'm here today with a good friend of mine, teammate, podcast host, Dan Spink.
Hello mate, how are we?
All well? Going good?
Yeah, good.
So Dan is also he hosts his own podcast called You Want to Do What? And we've had a bit of history together, of good fun and not much professional work actually. So this is a bit of a different time. But no, good. Thanks for coming in, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, good mate, good. It's a very cool setup you've got here, mate.
It's cool, isn't it? It's way above me.
Yeah.
Got to go with it.
Yeah. So where did the name come from?
I got speaking to Andrew, actually, of all people, and there said a few people, what are you going to do? You got to call it. I said, we could do the Construction Sport podcast and stuff. So they do something different, go a little bit different with it. And then I thought we're keeping up the Kerslake a little while back, actually. And I thought, I'll tell you what, because every time I said it, I said, no, you're not good. I was like, that was it. I was done. I was like, as soon as someone said, no, you're not good, I was like, let's go for it. So, keeping up the Kerslake. And they said, we might someone might pull you in, like the Kardashians might be on the case. Taking the dad who's a lawyer as well, or whatever, back in the day. You may come in and say, you can't do that. But I said,
if it gets that big, mate,
and exactly, you're doing well, aren't you? You're doing well. I've had that before, actually. I think it was at Bournemouth Sevens. I'm listening to that Roger Woodall's podcast. And their old sign used to be, their old logo used to be made up like the Bournemouth Seven, the Superman logo.
Right.
It actually looked like that. And they then got approached and said, pretty much, you can't use a logo to like Superman. And they realised that day that we must be pushing the right buttons. So we're going to run with that ethos, I think. But how's your podcast going?
Yeah, good. We've actually just done episode 200.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was out, I think, this week.
I listened to it this morning.
Did you?
I did.
Who was it?
I've listened. I've gone through a load this morning, just catching up with a few of them. He's one of the digital marketing guy.
Yeah.
Jamie. Is it the guy down in Southampton?
Yes, Jamie Riley.
Yeah.
Really nice young guy.
Vice, you've done a bit with.
Yes. And Jordan Schwarzenberger.
Yeah,
Jordan Schwarzenberger. I took about 3 takes to his name when we did the podcast. Yeah. I'm a bit like dyslexic, I think, so that's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
But he is the Sidemen, so the big YouTubers.
Got him.
He's their manager.
Yeah.
And he came on and just told us all about his career and what he's doing with the Sidemen. And we've had like NASA engineers on and, people like Braymont Watch, his founder, and the people we're getting on, it's mad.
I dip in and dip out, because I've literally actually not doing too much driving as much as I was last year through COVID and that, so I've not got as much podcast time as I did have last year. But I did listen to your the Ryanair guy, the social media manager for Ryanair. Yeah. Well, as soon as I saw the title, social media Ryanair, I was like, they've got to listen to that.
Yeah. It was cool. He's a cool guy.
Yeah,
right?
Isn't it? But I like that as well, because I kind of see it with Ryanair side. I think everybody knows there's such a negative look at it, isn't it? Yeah. But everyone still books it and flies away with them. So they must be doing something right.
Well, they embrace they know their budget.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, why would we try and compete against, let's say like British Airways or someone who is higher end and do the same kind of, it almost gives them more license to do a bit more relaxed and a bit more, do you know what? Let's actually have fun with this and let's do the memes. Let's take the piss out of ourselves. And he was super bright, super clued up on social media. Yeah,
that is interesting. So I remember actually with Ryanair, they actually said they're going to start charging people to use the toilets £1 a go, and it was just they put it in the papers, and everybody's talking about Ryanair. And then O'Leary, isn't it? The guy who used to own it.
Mike O'Leary.
He turned around and said, "No, we're not going to do that." But everyone's talking about us now.
And they did. They were doing at one point they were like going to do standing seats.
Were they?
Yeah, in the middle of the plane, standing seats. Everyone's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Everyone gets talking. That's the main thing, isn't it? So that's what and I think construction can take. I know you've got to delve into that a bit more on the construction side, but there's so many companies in the construction world who aren't prepared, especially the principal contractors in a way, or more than everybody really. A lot of them who aren't doing it yet are a little bit scared that they don't want to be seen to push the boundaries a bit. But there's a few companies out there now who are doing that, and it's
really
there's a few. Unfortunately, we're speaking to quite a few now of them people, and it's people are realising, hang on a sec, this is working. Yeah, it's a brilliant way to show your portfolio, isn't it, of what you do and what you're about.
Yeah, I think. We sort of mentioned before we came on, like I do a bit of SME consulting, so I go into businesses and help them essentially grow, whatever that means, whether it's operations, marketing, whatever. We'll bring the right people in to help them grow. And I'm working with an M&E company and did a bit of market research, and construction social media is just bland. It's so boring, and I kind of get it, because there's a lot of health and safety, and a lot of you can't do this, you can't do that. But there's definitely, like, if Ryanair can do it, why can't construction companies do it?
Yeah, definitely. And as Andrew said on that one that we put out the other day, was with Gymshark, they're taking all our graduates. And it's like, well, they are, effectively, because people, and the other way people look at it is people would go and work for Gymshark and clean their toilets just to be known as, I'm working for Gymshark.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why can't construction companies be the same? Because serious opportunities and careers in the industry.
Yeah, and the more I've sort of worked in it, as in doing the consulting for this company, the more I'm like, actually, there's so much opportunity in construction.
Yeah.
Because, this company that I went into, they were doing £1 million on Post-it notes.
Really?
That was their entire company was based on Post-it notes. If they lost one, they could lose like £100,000 invoice because they were like, oh, I don't really know what we did and how many people we had on site. And you're
Scary.
like, what are you doing? But that is a common story.
Yeah. 100%.
Across the industry, and you're like, if you could just kind of grab hold of people and be like, look guys, if you do this in a certain way, learn from other industries, do your marketing better. And it's not all about marketing, there are actually genuine operation stuff that these companies need to get hold of.
Yeah.
But if they did, you could attract people because it is actually genuinely a really interesting industry.
Definitely.
I think there's the best social media I've seen for construction is, I think it's called B1M, which is like a YouTube channel. Okay. And they go round.
I know the guy.
Know it?
Yeah.
And they go round.
One guy's an ex-engineer, isn't he?
Yes.
It's huge following, isn't it?
Massive following.
Yeah.
And they do it so well. And they genuinely interesting, like construction projects. And people are actually tuning in to watch something about construction. And you're like, well, traditionally very boring. Like, who's going to do that? Yeah. And another guy called Roger Bisbee. Actually, in lockdown, I got a bit bored, so I thought, right, I'll see if I can learn a bit about construction or doing it. I don't know why. I think I was thought about, I could do an extension or something. I was bored. So I watched this guy, Roger Bisbee. I think it's called Skill Builder or something. And he's basically just an old plumber, and he was giving people tips and tricks. He's got like millions of followers. Yeah. So it's so within everybody's reach, but nobody's doing it.
We're going down to Building Careers Live as an exhibition in Warwickshire this Saturday. Oh, right. And there's a big, with Rob Muldoon from Mind Your Head podcast or MYH podcast, he's asked me to come down there, but there's a tight-knit group of literally bricklayers on Instagram, but they've all cracking followings and they do really well. And it's like, just put a brick on top of a brick and a brick, but there's obviously a lot more to it. But it's like these are guys and they're flying the flag, I think, from the bricklayers side of it, from what I see on Instagram. There's a few electricians doing a few bits, plumbers doing a few bits, machine drivers do some good stuff, the machines and stuff. But these bricklayers, it's as if they've all come together and they all support each other, all different events and stuff. And it's going really well. And you think that, I just say they're just bricklayers, they're way more than that. But it's just kind of like, it just shows that these guys are flying the flag. And it looks so good because when they're actually creating and building something, it's like it tells a story as you do it. So show it. But we're obviously in central or West London at the moment, but like below us there's going to be tunnels being dug at the moment. There's cranes above us. Yeah. Even I think these rooms next door to us are being renovated at the moment. It's literally construction is fully surrounding us. Yeah. In every way, shape and form. And we've had it with other projects as well. And our biggest barrier that I find is companies just say to us, no, you can't come with cameras on, because you get it all the time. People say, oh, there might be a guy without his gloves on, or there might be a guy without his glasses on, and we don't want to be seen in that light. And my answer is, I'm a construction worker, I know what we can and can't see, and I'll edit it for you, don't worry, it'll be fine.
We're not gonna expose you, it's not panorama.
But how do you find, so you look at all different industries with the podcast, but now you've kind of got a little construction focus as well, isn't it, you're going for, to a certain degree?
So we've got the podcast where we focus on all types of careers, but off the back of the podcast we've met people from every single walk of life and different business people and different interests. And like I said, we're working with this M&E company, trying to build their company up. Mm-hmm. I think you sort of hinted on a point there. Construction and these bricklayers are sort of forming partnerships with each other. Yeah. And traditionally, I think construction's really been like quite insular. These are my clients.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not telling you anything about my clients. They're mine. And it's such a capital intensive industry. Yeah. And you'll know yourself, like cash flow is king in it. Yeah. There's such fine margins. And actually, if you come together and partnership with different people in your industry that have different things they can add, different clients, and pool your resources, that's, I think, where you could actually have a really big impact, and you can grow your company rapidly. Yeah. So that's what we're doing with this M&E company, and we're going to have more people on the podcast itself about construction industry jobs, because it, like you said, you were talking about Gymshark. There's no construction people I know out there that I'd be like, oh, do you know what? I really want to go work for that company. Really cool. Yeah. It just, you kind of fall into it, I assume. Yeah,
definitely. We actually got that with the Scaffold Association as well. We spoke to them, and when Rob Candy, the guy who's the CEO there, brought everyone together, he created this association. he done it off the back of pretty much loads of companies that he knew, scaffold companies, were all saying to him, I've got this problem. And he realised that all these people have got the same problem. And even though they're rivals, they think they're rivals and competitors, it turns out they're not. They've got their own little market, their own clients. Okay, there's always going to be a little lapse if people want to tread on people's toes or whatever. But they've realised when they actually all come together, they can actually answer all these questions themselves by doing it. So it's just a bit like, why don't we do it more often? And like you say, the industry is, I think it's getting there, but there's still a lot of people who are very, very protective of being seen to be showing clients or, what they're about.
And I think sharing of resources.
Yeah.
So like building out an admin team, when you get to a certain size, no matter what discipline you're in within construction, you need some form of admin.
Yeah.
Right? And traditionally, it has been, girlfriends, wives, somebody down the road who will help you do your admin, do your invoicing.
Yeah.
But actually, if you pull your resources and create little admin teams, and then you say to people that are doing the same thing in your industry, different clients, look, you can use this resource. That's definitely a way to help grow and make it more professional as well, because that sort of center, you can have finance in there, you can have marketing, you can have admin, you can have, invoicing, everything in this one space for all these different contractors.
Yeah.
And you share the pain.
Yeah.
Whereas individually, they're not going to have the money to do it.
Yeah.
So that's something we're working on at the moment, which is.
So where are you basing with it? All over the UK? You looking at going all over?
No, I think we're just sort of focusing on Essex for now, and a focus on M&E. Because that's the only bit I know kind of at the moment. But there's definitely an opportunity to pull resources, which is what we're kind of looking at doing, which is interesting. Cool.
So what took you into what it is? Because you've got a different background, wasn't it, from where you first started then?
Yeah, so I went straight out of school and I went into the city. And I was an insurance broker, one of the big American companies, working in oil and gas. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting, but it was also it just bored me. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've got like ADHD or something. Like my interest.
Keep moving.
I've got to keep doing something different. Otherwise, I just get bored. And working at a big corporate, you are always doing the same task because you kind of just tick box in.
Yeah.
And you get to a certain level and you can do different things and different initiatives. But
play golf.
Yeah, go play golf. I actually did play golf at one point. Yeah. But I just got bored.
Yeah.
I got really, really bored. And then I went to a sort of different, a smaller, more a privately owned brokerage and started doing like diamonds, fine art, these things called cash in transit. And I was in Lloyd's of London, which is, if anybody hasn't seen it, Google Lloyd's of London building.
Okay.
It's really cool. Yeah. It is really, really cool building. It's basically this marketplace in the heart of the city of London.
Yeah, I think I've seen pictures of it. I've never been in there.
It looks ugly from
huge
the outside.
Balconies also.
Yeah. And you when you're in there, it is incredible. Well, it was pre-COVID. I think it's changed a bit now. There's less kind of face-to-face.
Okay. Yeah,
but you used to go in from sort of 10:30 and you have these things called boxes. And it was like 300 years old. All the traditions, they haven't really changed. And these boxes where you'd sit here and the underwriter who could do the contract, essentially write the contract, would be sitting there. You'd have to get them to buy. So it's a negotiation. It's really, really cool. And I loved it. Did that for a few years.
And it still operates in that same way.
It still operates. It still operates in that same way. I think it's changed since I've left due to COVID, more over email. But yeah, you'd be in a queue sort of 6 deep waiting for an underwrite, and there's hundreds of different syndicates.
Going back in time.
It was really, really cool. And like, I ended up doing financial lines just before I left the market. And I had to get like 30 plus companies to agree to the same terms to I think, we had huge banks. I won't name them, but, doing their financial line stuff, which was mad at 23, dealing with like $1 billion contract. And it's kind of like, wow. So yeah, I mean, I loved it.
I suppose it doesn't become like money in the end, does it? It's just numbers.
No, it's and the one which was the maddest was the oil and gas, because if they say like they have tethers which tether them to the bottom of the sea, they're like a couple of 100 million a tether.
Are they? Yeah.
So when you don't even really think about it anymore, which is kind of mind blowing. But I loved it, but I saw kind of the writing on the wall for it. I always thought it was gonna, like, you can't. How can you justify all these people queuing up when you could actually send an email? There will always be face to face in it, definitely. But not to the scale that I think it was.
You say that looks like it's faded away. COVID sped it up.
COVID sped it up, and I think it was going to happen, but COVID sped it up. And I'm not an expert; I'm not in it anymore. But it kind of, the writing was on the wall, and I was like, I don't want to be here at 40 and just be sitting in an office sending emails.
Yeah.
I've always kind of knew that I wanted to do something different all day, every day. Do variety is the spice of life, isn't it? Terrible saying, but it's so true.
Definitely.
So I left, And I remember calling my girlfriend, and I was like, she knew I was unhappy, and I was sort of like getting really unhappy.
Did you have something to go into, or just kind of pulled away? Was that?
Oh, I had this idea, and I was like, I had this idea for a while. Every morning on the train up, I had this little tiny black notebook, and like every idea I had, I'd write it down, and I get really excited. I was like, okay, I've got this new idea, fantastic! Like, yeah, I'm going to pursue this. And none of them really stuck until.
You still got that book?
I still got it. Yeah, I've got like 10 of them now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I just kind of thought, do you know what? I'm going to wake up one day and be like, I've wasted this. Like, you know, I'm young enough now I didn't have a mortgage or anything like that. Like, just make the jump.
Right.
And I remember calling my girlfriend, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to kind of quit. And she knew I was like essentially a bit depressed because I didn't enjoy what I was doing. She said, okay, you know, and that support meant like the world to me, because it's a really important. I mean, we've been going out 8 years now, so it wasn't like, you know, a couple of years and oh god, what's he doing? A proper serious relationship. She backed me. Anyway, the startup was I wanted to take what I was doing in the market, broking things, and take it into marketing. There's like thousands of marketing agencies. I think there's 30,000 in the UK.
Really? Yeah.
30,000.
I'm probably contact daily, I think, through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If someone will do this for you, do that. And it's
the competition, but how a brand ever finds an agency they know they can trust and actually will bring the results. So that was my idea. Look, I'm going to go in, speak to brands, say, look, I'll find you your agency and I'll take a cut or something of the contract that you sign. And that was the idea. And I remember 6 months, I kind of was on my computer from like 6 a.m. to like 8 o'clock at night, just hammering emails and like trying to get some traction. Nothing happened. And I just sat there and I was like, I can't do this anymore, because I'm literally getting nothing. I've got no name, no reputation, no marketing contacts. It kind of sounds like excuses, but just, it wasn't happening. Yeah. So I said, right, I can't, you know, I need to do something else. And funnily enough, I messaged a competitor that was doing the same thing, or they messaged me. I think it was a bit backwards and forwards. And I ended up coming up and having an interview, and they were like, yeah, come on board. Like, we want you to be like I think it was like a senior manager or something. I'd never managed anyone in my life, so why they gave me that position? Yeah. And I did that for 2 months, and I didn't like the way they did it. I thought they were going about it the wrong way, which is like massively sort of a bit arrogant of me to think that, but just it seemed backwards to me. And it was fun for a couple of months, and then COVID hit, and I was like, oh shit. And it like pummeled everyone, but marketing especially. And they were like, well, we have to make you redundant. Along with, I think it was 10 of us that joined or something. And, you know, that was it. So then lockdown, I was kind of like, well, right, well, what am I going to do? And I ended up doing SME consulting. And I was like, well, I've got kind of, you know, a rough idea of how this all works. You know,
so the podcast was at the start of COVID. Did the podcast started then?
Podcast started in 2019.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was before that.
It was before, yeah. But we started 2019. We did the first 6 episodes, which you were one of. Yeah. And then we had like a few months break, I think, because I wanted to always do it in person. And then when COVID hit, I was like, well, that's just not going to happen. And I want to grow it. So, yeah, we started doing it over Zoom. And, you know, this setup's incredible. Like, the setup you guys have got is mad. We just do it with Zoom and a couple of microphones.
Yeah. But that's what it takes, isn't it? That's the thing. It's just getting out there, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think that's what I've learned through this whole kind of, you know, up and down roller coaster is like 75% of the battle is just doing it. Just give it a go.
And it's the whole, we're not losing your learning sort of thing, isn't it? If people don't say yes, so you just go, I always done that. I always thought, if I go in and say someone got an idea and they say, no, I don't think, I don't like you, because you said no, I'm going to go bitter towards them. It's just go, well, what can I do to make them say yes?
And you know, they have a different point of view. They might genuinely think that it's a no starter. Yeah. You know, I listen to MPC, How I Built This. Okay. Really great podcast. Loads of founders of huge companies you'd know about speaking about how they started. Like 99% of them have heard no a million times.
Yeah, just ruthless and relentless.
Yeah, and they write stuff off. Like really experienced entrepreneurs that invest in companies will write companies off, and then they turn into, you know, $1 billion company. Yeah. So don't take no, I guess.
It was one I saw the other day. So Mark Zuckerberg's only ever created one company, and it's Facebook. He's done really well. But then you look at everybody else, and they've literally, like I said, hundreds. And your one will be there. It might start, it might be in 100. You just gotta, until you go for it, haven't you?
Yeah, and your one idea will stick eventually. And you know, we speak to, like we've spoken to 200 different people now. Yeah. plus the ones that aren't.
It's a big network.
It's a big network, and we've started doing sort of partnerships and things with these different people of different businesses and just linking them together, and that's even turning into a little side business. So
definitely,
you never know what's going to happen.
Well, that's actually for the viewer, I suppose, but. The reason why you're here, wasn't it, Dan? Is because Dan invited me on to, say, 2019.
Yeah.
And then New Year's Eve just gone. At 5:20, I got an email saying, Steve, we'd like to speak to you in regards to the podcast that you're on, about upcoming production or whatever. Here's my contact details, blah, 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 at bbc.co.uk.com or whatever it is. And I thought, this is a wind-up, surely. So you've got to look at it. You look at it, and it's this moody website and this and that. But it wasn't. Yeah. And I was like, oh. And I think you messaged me the day after saying, I've been contacted, Steve. So I don't think you were stupid enough to check your emails at midnight and literally getting ready to go out for New Year's Eve. And I was like, what? And then I actually read it at about 6 o'clock. I just clicked on my phone stupidly and looked at my email come through.
Yeah.
And then someone said to me, I said, look, I've got this email. I said, what weirdo emails me at 5:20 on New Year's Eve? And he said, probably the same weirdo at Reddit at 5:30. I went, that was me. I read it straight off. And then, then off the back of that podcast, 18 months later, they listened to that podcast, said that we see you in the construction world and talk about mental health and well-being and stuff. And then, could I go on that? And then, newsflash, the documentary comes out on the BBC One prime time.
Wow. This
September/October. I'll get the details of when it's going to come out, and we'll make sure we push that out. But that was off the back of massive thank you for that. Because but that comes on. You got 200 of these episodes, so you think how many of them, these success stories, can come off. That's it. If anyone asks you to do a podcast, I think just jump on it and just go for it.
Just do it. Like we were speaking before we came on. It's the best way, I think, personally now, of building a network.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter what your podcast is about. Just go and chat to people about anything and everything, and you will build an incredible network. And it's not too late. We're still very much early days with podcasts as a form of media. So just jump on it.
It faded away, didn't it? I heard, because someone said they've been out since 2014. So podcasts restarted. But
really?
Someone said, I think iTunes had started doing them.
Yeah.
And they kind of faded, and there wasn't much interest in them. Okay. But then later on, towards 17, 18, 19, 2019, they literally had a boom. And it has. And it obviously has gone with it all. But.
It's interesting. I think they're always going to be there. Especially my podcast doesn't really date. No. So people still now will message me about episode 6, episode 52.
Yeah.
Have you got any details about this? I'd love to get into it.
Yeah.
And you're like, that was
this
2-3 years ago.
He was a presenter doing some research, and he said he went onto Spotify and typed in construction, mental health, and it come up on there. He didn't look at the date, but it was 18 months before. Yeah. And he went with it. And now, 2.5 years later, this documentary will come out off the back of your podcast. So
it's really cool.
Yeah. So anyone wanting to plug what they're doing and get in the big time, will be front of national press, needs to come to you. Really.
Yes. Come to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next steps then? So you're looking for new clients actively in the M&E Essex area?
I think I'm always looking to talk to any SME really that's kind of doesn't really know where they're going to grow in the Essex, London area. We've got a few case studies we can share. I'm growing the partnerships. We're kind of thinking about doing an partnership agency.
Yeah, brilliant.
We've got quite a few clients there. Growing the podcast. We've got big plans for the podcast. Especially YouTube kind of based.
Yeah.
So we're looking for sponsors now, actually. So if anybody wants to sponsor us,
get on. You promised BBC coverage.
Yeah, there you go. And just keep doing it, mate. We've got another guy from NASA coming on the next couple of weeks, and just really enjoying everything we're doing.
Where's he based, Mr. NASA? In America?
Yeah, Florida, Cape Canaveral, I think, something like that. Yeah,
that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I'll keep my ears out for that one. Yeah, yeah. Be a spaceman. I think our man behind the camera has got some friends who'd like to listen to that podcast.
Yeah,
so I'll show you that video later.
Yeah, show us. Yeah,
super. So sport. We obviously met in the rugby field.
Yeah,
many years ago. It's probably 10, 12 years ago.
Oh, at least. Yeah,
with the elite second teamers. No, probably a few first team appearances, isn't there?
No, mate, I'm not good enough for first team.
What is sport to you? You're not playing much rugby at the moment, are you?
No, do you know what? COVID really decimated grassroots rugby. Yeah. I don't know if you found that.
You did, yeah. To certain clubs, yes, I think so. But there was a few clubs I think flourished as well.
Really?
Yeah. More than when I was playing with, they literally done, as soon as there was 6 people that they trained together, they got people training, going for a jog on the streets together, and we're bang, bang, bang. Yeah. And they had 3 teams out every week pretty much last year.
Wow.
Yeah. But then other clubs, see, with South, the boys struggled, and then quite a few other clubs that I know who literally just can't get hold of people. I think Dis had big issues as well with couldn't get people.
Because they were a big team,
big club,
big
club, yeah. I think there was a few different clubs that had really struggled. So yeah, I think it was geographically different places, but yeah, I think the minis and youths thing, I think, is a huge thing where people flourish.
It's where clubs die, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you don't have a minis and juniors, you kill your club off.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, I've played 2 since I came to senior rugby, which was like 17, 18.
It was, yeah.
I played for like 10 years. I'm now the only one left of my junior team still kind of playing.
Oh, yeah.
And I still love it. But we were talking just a bit before. It is, depending on what league you're in, it's a whole day kind of thing.
Yep.
You know, it's not turn up, play a game for a couple of hours and then go home.
They've just restructured all the leagues, haven't they? You see that?
Yes.
Yeah, they've pulled the leagues apart and just said that these guys aren't going to go to... I think they're trying to eradicate... Coach companies won't be happy. So they've actually tried to wipe them out. But it's got... I think the life and pressures of work, life, family life, work, business, balance, whatever you want to call it, is just too much. I can't go out at 9 o'clock in the morning and get back at 10 at night. As a family, man, we did 10 years, young 20s, all over it, wouldn't you? We literally couldn't wait to get into the coach journey leagues. Get called up, or someone said, then you'd give up the second team game to jump on the coach, go and watch the first, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so, it was such a good social, wasn't it? Yeah. And that was all part of it. But I don't know. I haven't been down there this pre-season. Obviously, I don't train. But
injury, tactical injury,
definitely another injury. No, I haven't been down there, so I don't know what's happened to the sort of 18 to 23-year-olds, because there was just no one coming through at that age. They kind of went off to uni and they couldn't be asked to come back.
Yeah, because we had at our age, obviously, there's quite a lot of our lot still hanging on there. Sammy and Lewis is a few of our mates, their age and that. And then, it just faded away. I think that's where the Malden guys I spoke to, they've got a huge young 20s population there.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, I think they're where we were 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
In a way, yeah. So I was 8 years older than anyone else in the banks.
8 years?
I was a veteran in the banks, and I felt every bit of it as well.
How's the hamstrings, all right?
Yeah, they went in February. There it is. Sure. Yeah, but no, spot on. Well, what are you doing? You're not playing rugby at the moment? You still training at all anyway?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a... I love the gym. It kind of grounds me. So I'm in 6 a.m. club, Monday to Friday. I just get it done, and it really clears my mind and sets me up.
Definitely.
But yeah, I love training, and I do love sport. Yeah. But I think finding the time now, and finding the kind of, watching Wimbledon last couple of weeks, brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought, I'd quite like to have a go at that, playing a bit of tennis. And there's like a few local clubs, but nothing very close. So
paddle tennis is the next one.
Is it?
The Spanish and the Dutch, is it something that put a load of money into promoting it, and it's coming over to the UK, and it's quite massive. My little boy's just got into it. He's 4 years old, but it's getting huge. Malden just had a load of money pumped into having this paddle tennis. It's it's a mix between tennis and squash. It's got like a back wall to it, but it's open like a tennis court. But the boundaries are literally, there's walls. And you can use the walls. And it's pretty cool. Have a look at it. Yeah.
I'll have a go.
I'm not promoting. If that's a free promotion, should we say? I'm not no ambassador of paddle tennis. But no, we've done that. I'm a little girl literally watching the tennis the weekend, and I didn't watch any of it. And I watched the women's final with my girl on my lap, and I realised I could feel her literally going left to right. Watching
brilliant
it. She's
sport.
1 year old.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant. It's so good to watch. I think Wimbledon has that little thing. Everyone's a tennis fan, aren't they, when that comes out? But I'm so in the mornings, get in the gym, do a bit. I just go in there and hit the treadmill now. So just go in the mornings. But when I can. But no, spot on. Well, cheers for coming on, Dan. So coming into London from our suburbs of Essex.
That's right, it's lovely, right? Your office is incredible, mate.
I'll claim it's my office. It is cool, isn't it?
It's really cool,
put together.
Yeah.
But lovely, top man. Thank you for your help, and thanks for everything.
Thanks for having on. Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Well, that was Dan Spink of the You Want to Do What podcast. On to the next one, episode 5.